Next, we have Kai Luke, who is a member of the Cannabis Society of Hawaii. Kai has actually worked in the industry both here in Hawaii and in Missouri, has a very strong resume in cannabis retail, production, inventory management, operational and product development, compliance, and consulting. And you're from Hawaii, and you've got an important perspective for us to hear. So let me turn it over to you, Mr. Luke.
Appreciate the time to talk today. I'm here with a lot of smart people in the room, so I'm glad that we have a chance to share some information, education, and perspective. So my name is Kai Luke. I'm a community advocate, and I know cannabis is a big buzz C word, but community is very much included in cannabis. So my transparency statement, there is no external funding for this presentation. I've not received any funding from any pharmaceutical, alcohol, or tobacco industries. This testimony is personal, and it does not constitute any official position of Cannabis Society of Hawaii. And while this presentation may touch on, regulatory developments in other states, it does not imply any endorsement of these policies by us. And so a brief overview of Cannabis Society of Hawaii. We're a nonpartisan community group based in Hawaii. We're not political or a lobbying group. The group actually started from a project from the University of Hawaii Community College's Good Jobs Hawaii initiative in 2020 when there was the COVID epidemic. We did get a chance to organize the first medical cannabis day at the Capitol this past June, which featured doctors, farmers, and other community advocates. Our primary focus is bringing the community together by sharing information, education, and perspective. Quick personal history. I am born and raised in Hawaii. I am a DARE graduate. I got a chance to go to Kamehameha Explorations, part of an OHA entrepreneurship program for hemp in 2005. I was part of UH Cannabis Research Study as a participant at Queens Medical Center. I am a 329 medical card patient as well, previously a caregiver. I got a chance to work on CBD distribution in 2015 with health food stores and head shops. I did get a chance to work in the licensed medical dispensary locally from 2017 to about 2020. After that, I had gotten a chance to get contracted to open up a medical dispensary in Lake of the Ozarks, which then we actually won Best Dispensary Award by Missouri Magazine in 2022 and 2023 because it was all about the dispensary experience. In Missouri, we actually went through a ballot process. We were actually one of the polling stations to help get out information. And we did transition from medical to dual use, which is a eye-opening experience because I think a lot of people think that there's just a bunch of young people that just want weed, which was not the case. The big wave of, I think it was about, median age was about 55 and up, were the largest demographic of adult use patrons in the beginning of the program. And I do understand the seed-to-sale tracking system, so I have BioTrack experience and I'm metric certified. Brief history, because there is maybe these points that maybe need to be touched on. It goes farther back than this, but these are just some notables. 1741, the Gardener's Dictionary mentions cannabis and its medical uses. In Hawaii, Civil Beat did a great article in 2016 about Ka Noa Noa, which is the Hawaiian newspaper that featured cannabis as medicine. In 1988, the endocannabinoid system was discovered in Israel with Dr. Raphael McCullum. In 1998, a U.S. patent is filed by the Department of Health as cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. In 2000, Ben Cayetano created the Medical Marijuana Act, and we were the first in legislature to do it not by ballot. 2017, first medical dispensaries opened up in Hawaii, and here we are to present day, 2025. One thing I was asked to talk about is the potential for workforce development, college training, and how that relates to community service. St. Louis University was really ahead of the curve by understanding what is to come with their adult use. So prior to adult use, while they had medical, they already got started on these programs, which are they have minor programs and major programs to help the workforce development in the industry. And this actually allowed for a better qualified workforce, which entails better operations, actually a higher return on their investment to serve more of the community. So without investing into the community, you do have a high turnover like we do currently in the system. So this actually just outlines some of the initiatives that St. Louis University did. They actually won Outstanding Program of the Year by University Professional and Continuing Education for their cannabis program. So I think this goes to show that there is an investment by colleges and education to create a workforce that can help the community, really. And there are other states that start with M that do have college programs like Maryland, Massachusetts, and Maine. So there are multiple programs that do have college training to help the workforce. Some of the road bumps, I call these roadblock plus speed bumps. You know, the current federal position is still where it's at. There's still a lot of propaganda and reefer madness, and there's perpetuation of the propaganda. We definitely need more law enforcement education to have more of these conversations. But even for the even for the cannabis community, and that's part of why I'm here to speak on, is there's a lot of fear, a lot of stigma, a lot of miseducation, and this is where it adds to the bureaucratic red tape and hindering of the legislative process. Yes, there is overregulation, but we do know that there has to be a work together. But because of the high barrier to entry, it does lose a lot of public trust from the opposition outside the cannabis community, but also within the cannabis community, which doesn't allow for community engagement and cooperation. Like Dr. Lin just mentioned about the survey and study that's going on right now. I think it's worth mentioning that even with a opportunity to engage into a survey that can provide more data, a lot of the legacy growers and farmers, they're very skeptical to participate because of the traumatic experiences and the war on drugs, period. So even getting good data is a little bit hard, but that's the fight is, who wants to participate with the data, and hopefully the data will show. But I did want to mention that because there's still a lot of distrust in the system. I hear this thing about, people don't like lawmakers, but at the same time, lawmakers make the law. So there's definitely a way to work together here. But without outlining and making actually really strong points for legacy farmers, that's where there's a big void, because a lot of people feel that there's still a lot of wrongs that they would like to see right, and some people are trying to wait for it to be 100%, which nobody's going to be 100% happy, but there needs to be progression as we move forward. And also, there's no clear way for local participation and opportunities, even though it's outlined in some of the surveys as well as these future bills. And, just to kind of speak on that, we're not here to discuss any bills or take a position. We're here as information and education and just perspective on things that we've heard and seen in the community. So I hope you guys can just appreciate that side of it. What are some of the future visions that we did here? Accessibility to medicine is one of the hugest points. In my experience, going through a transition from medical to adult use, especially in a heavy Amendment 2 state, there are a lot of people who are highly considerate about not being on a list. There's still a lot of that feeling. And with accessibility to medicine, we find that making it available with more distribution points gets the medicine, there's more competition where you have medicine being offered at a higher quality at a lower price. And this is very impactful for the many people that come to the plant as medicine within the medical or the adult use opportunity. And I think that's why one of our top things besides public safety is accessible medicine. Public education is, obviously being started with OMCCR. I think they're starting to do a great job with newsletters and the community in-person opportunities to learn. But we also need more legal protections for cannabis in general, and even safe spaces. I think this is one thing that gets overlooked a lot as we have medical and potential adult use, but where are these safe places, right? DEI is always a hot term, but I feel like even with the current presidential recommendations, DEI is still a important factor, especially in Hawaii. So it definitely needs more concern and awareness. Some of the things that we've heard that could help is expediting licensing programs for Native Hawaiians or other minorities. From our local community that is impacted heavily, and the ACLU reports does say that Native Hawaiians are the most impacted. This is where the consideration for expedited licensing, I think, will definitely help. Protections for land, environment, those are things that can be created through the potential revenue of this new opportunity as more people get the opportunity to join this legally. More social equity programs and technical assistance, that is definitely things that have helped other states. And we think that that is one way that the people that are looking to get in can get the extra care that they need so that they have a good chance to launch. We do hear prioritizing indigenous growers and incentivizing small, locally owned farms would help. If they're producing food, that also might help. One thing that is a concern is insurance, as well as funding. So there is, really no local funding source. We know the federal issue. However, maybe the revenue from generating a dual use campaign can start to create its own fund where it can be used almost as a bank through maybe a local nonprofit like OHA or CNHA. And then some of the bigger vision is like a cannabis research center that can help some of the issues locally with maybe universities that can take on some of the things like cancer or epilepsy and things like that are autoimmune diseases and things like that. And I guess the last thing I'll say is the cultural recognition about where Native Hawaiians stand and where where the chance to give back is, and that's with things like these and opportunities like this to show up, to create space for others to help push it forward, because these are the local people that really want to pay it forward and help provide more medicine out to the community. I did have some pictures on here that show the hemp home on Maui, and I thought that was a really good way to talk about the industrial hemp side, which we could definitely using hemp to cleanse the land. Growing hemp can actually create these bioproducts to build with, so we're not importing as much wood, I guess you would say, to build, but also it employs people locally, right? It gives them good jobs that are meaningful to the land because it's also naturally sustainable. Hemp homes are naturally fireproof, mold resistant. I think there's definitely should be more conversations about that. And some of the other considerations we have, some of the on the bottom right here is just New Jersey, they've set up a way where police officers are allowed to use cannabis off duty. And Utah, where firefighters, our first responders, are able to use medical cannabis off duty. I think those are some really considerate ideas that take in not just cannabis, but the community in general, because it affects us all. And even with this cannabis opportunity, we want to make sure that it's helping the greater community. And how is that? Well, there's a bigger picture. And hopefully that's where everyone can be part of that conversation, engage, and kind of pay it forward for each other.
Thank you. You want to wrap it up? It'd be great.
Yes. This past summer, I did get to go to see 3 cannabis hotels throughout the Midwest. So I just want to mention that these are the safe safe places that we're kind of mentioning and talking about. In Oklahoma, there's a hemp hotel. In Phoenix, there's the Claridon. In Vegas, there's the Lexi Hotel. So all of these places allow for consumption. And even the Phoenix one has a room for people that aren't staying, that they can rent a day pass even. So having safe places when you have cannabis available is, I think it needs to be on the list. And I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm here for questions. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Luke. I appreciate that.